And we have seen how we can measure price. And this there are in the last class I have said that there are price indices. Some price indices are there. Number one, CPI. Number two, CPI means Consumer Price Index. Number three, PPI. Number two, PPI, and number three is WPI, Wholesale Price Index. It is a kind of PPI type. Number four is Retail Price Index, maybe for retail seller. And number five could be Import Price Index. MPI, Import Price Index. Number six could be Export Price Index, XPI, or EPI maybe. আচ্ছা, বাসায় কারেন্ট চলে গেছিল, এখন জেনারেটর চলছে, আবার যখন কারেন্ট আসবে তখন আবার ডিস্টার্ব হয়ে যাবে।
সমস্যা নেই স্যার, আমরা আছি।
এরকম ডিস্টার্ব হলে তো ক্লাস নেওয়া যায় না। এনিওয়ে, Anyway, let's start from here. Price indices are, I said that 6 forms, CPI, PPI, WPI, retail price index, IPI, import price index, and export price index. And in the second chapter, we'll see that overall price index is GDP deflator, number 7. GDP deflator. It will be in the chapter number 2, GDP deflator. Now, price stability is ensured by central bank. So I said that central bank supply money. So M is proportional to price. So when central bank regulate money supply, it indirectly or directly or indirectly regulate price. So this is how price stability is ensured. But in order to stabilize price, we need to know how to measure price. So CPI is one of the different measures of price price indices, and from CPI we can measure inflation. That means a rate of change in price levels. So inflation can be IR. Rate of inflation is CPI T minus CPI T minus 1 divided by CPI T minus 1 times 100. This is our inflation rate. Okay. Now let's see what are the different types of inflation. Types of inflation. Let's start again. It is now with full electricity, not in on the generator. We said that there are three. We are going to discuss about the three types of inflation based on the sensitivity. So we say that there is a low inflation, and this low inflation is something like single-digit inflation. Single-digit inflation. That means our inflation rate is from 0 to 9%. So if this is the case, then we can say that it is the economy is running at low inflation. Okay. In advanced country, the rate of inflation is from 0 to 5. And in developing countries or in less developed countries, the inflation rate is about 5 to, if the rate is a single digit, then it is 5 to 9. Okay. But most of the developing countries are facing the problem of second type of inflation. It's called galloping inflation. Second type is galloping inflation.
স্যার লেখাটাকে একটু বড় করে লেখা যায়, মানে দেখা যাচ্ছে না স্যার।
So I think you are viewing from your mobile, right?
না স্যার, ল্যাপটপ থেকে দেখছি স্যার।
No, but it is visible when you are watching from laptop. Okay, so let me try to make it more visible. Okay, so
okay, thank you sir.
2 is galloping inflation, and this galloping inflation is double digit inflation, ranging from 10 to 99%. Okay, so these are mostly with not advanced countries, mostly with developing countries, and this maybe most of the countries are with 10 to 20% inflation rate is there. So these are called galloping inflation. And the third inflation type of inflation is very dangerous. It is called hyperinflation. Hyperinflation. And this hyperinflation is, a huge rate. And this huge rate is, suppose, maybe from 100% to maybe, infinite number of percentage. Let me give you an example of that. During Second World War II, Second World War, in Germany, the situation is in Germany. Oh, not Second World War. It is actually First World War, not Second World War. First World War in Germany. If you are in 1922, that means 100 years back from today. If CPI, if you measure CPI, it was, let me give you an example of, real estate. Real estate means housing. And in 1922, this real estate was suppose valued or worth maybe 3 million. million Deutschmark, DM. Deutschmark was the currency of Germany before the euro. Nowadays, European currency is euro. This is the symbol of European currency called euro. But before the European Union, Deutschmark was the currency for Germany. And the real estate, suppose you buy a real estate by 3 million Deutschmark. Can you imagine what happens to this Deutschmark, 3 million Deutschmark in 1923? In 1923, you can buy a candy with that money. Buy a candy. That means lozenge of chocolate. Okay. Now imagine what is the CPI or what is the inflation rate. Can you imagine what could be the inflation rate? Maybe the candy was in 1922 was 1 Deutschmark. Okay. And can you measure the CPI? So what could be the CPI, I mean, in inflation rate? Can you tell me what could be the inflation rate?
3 million.
3 million%.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so how do you measure it? 3 million minus 1 divided by 1 into 100. That means 3 million%. So this type of inflation is called hyperinflation. Hyperinflation is huge rate of inflation. I mean, very high rate of inflation. And this inflation is very dangerous. And if you have a very big amount of money in your pocket today, maybe tomorrow this money is, I mean, less valued. That means this money is valueless. You cannot buy anything with that money if hyperinflation is there. Okay. Now let's see how how can we define, I mean, classify inflation based on based on the economy. Classify inflation based on economic situation. Or actually, it is not based on economic situation. I mean, in ADAS framework. ADAS framework. What is AD and what is AS? From the last class, what is AD and AS?
Aggregate demand, aggregate supply.
Aggregate demand and aggregate supply. Let's see how can we define inflation or classify inflation based on aggregate demand and supply. So first type of inflation is called demand pool inflation. Demand pool. Demand pool inflation. And what is that? Let me draw a aggregate demand supply framework. So our aggregate demand is downward sloping. We said in the last class, right? Aggregate demand. And our aggregate supply is this shape. Okay, aggregate supply. Now, can you tell me the determinants of demand in macroeconomics? Aggregate demand, AD. The determinants are, I mean, if money supply increase or money demand increase, then aggregate demand shift forward. Okay, or if income increase, then money demand shift forward. Okay, so here you see that suppose money demand increase or money supply increase, what happens? Aggregate demand shift forward to AD prime. Okay, so when previously the equilibrium was this much and price level was that much. By the way, we should make some legend for x-axis and y-axis, and this is for price level, and so capital P0, and this is Y0, and this is Y. Now, when aggregate demand curve shift forward, what happens? So demand was pull up, AD was pulled up. Why? Because maybe demand for money increase, or maybe supply of money increase. Okay, so the purchasing power of consumers increase, so aggregate demand shift forward. Okay, shift forward. Then what happens? GDP grows, that means income grows to Y1, and price also grows to P1. Okay, so this type of inflation, here you see that there is a change in price, and we said that our inflation rate is what? Change in price level divided by price into 100, right? So this is actually, this change is actually change in price. So we can say that there is an inflation, and the reason for inflation is aggregate demand was pulled up. So this type of inflation is called demand pull inflation. Demand pull inflation. Okay. Now, what could be the supply cost push? The second type is called cost push inflation. Cost push inflation. So we know that cost is related to aggregate supply. So suppose, let us draw again the ADAS framework. So this is our aggregate demand, AD, and this is our aggregate supply, AS. So suppose one of the determinants of aggregate demand supply is increase in cost, input cost. And if input cost increase, what happens? Can you tell me what happens when input cost increases? Input here means land, labor, capital, and organization. These are called input of production. Okay. All right. So input cost increase, then what happens? This will affect which curve? AS curve or AD curve?
AS curve.
AS curve.
AS curve, because the cost is related to supply. Okay. So this will push up aggregate supply curve. That means AS curve, because of cost is high, push up aggregate supply curve, push up aggregate supply curve. So aggregate supply curve will push up here like this. This is your aggregate supply curve, new aggregate supply curve. And before it was let me give some legend for that. It is price level, and this is Y, national income, and this is Y0, and this is P0. And now you see that Y1 is here, Y1, and there is a change in price. That means P1 is here, and this is a change in P, and we see that change in P means there is a inflation. So this type of inflation is called cost push inflation. Okay, cost push inflation. Demand pull inflation and cost push inflation. Two types of inflation in ADAS framework. Okay. Now, can you tell me what is the basic difference between these two type of inflation? Number one.
Income increases in demand pull inflation.
Income increases. Thank you very much. Income increases in demand pull. I mean, based the inflation based on AD. That means demand pull. And number two is income decreases if we base AS. That means cost push inflation. Cost push inflation. Okay. All right. Now let's see how we can let's do some exercise on CPI measurement. Okay. What is CPI? From the last class, what is CPI? CPI is the average average change in price level of some basket of goods and services. So if we have a basket of goods and services, and I said in the last class that the basket of goods and services contains maybe food and non-food items. And if we take the average price of that, and this, of course, this average should be weighted average. Okay. So how can we calculate CPI? The calculation of CPI is like this. CPI in period T. CPI in period T equal to CPI in period T minus 1 minus 1 times weighted average not weighted average, weighted change in prices in period T minus 1. And this weighted change in prices, that means weighted change in prices in period T minus 1 in period T. Sorry, this is not T minus 1. This is period T. So in period in T, in time T, is measured by the following equation. What is the equation? Sum of relative importance of good in T minus 1 times percentage change of goods, I mean goods in the basket, from T minus 1 to T. So this is just the theory. You don't have to memorize this. This is just theory. And based on this theory, we are going to do some exercise. Okay. So let me draw a table for that. So first column is category. Category in the basket of goods and services. So first one is food and drinks, or let me call it food and beverage. Let me call it food. Second item is housing. Third item could be apparel. Apparel means clothing, or you can say it as garment. Okay. 5 could be transportation. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 is transport, and 5 is medical allowance or medical cost, and 5 may be the last one may be others. So there are a lot of others, but we are just making it as single other. Okay. And that now we are going to give them weight. Okay. So weights could be for this, it could be 0.175. For housing could be 0.460. For apparel could be 0.193. No, this is 0.04. Transport could be 0.193, and medical allowance could be, medical care could be 0.49. And others could be rest of the, let me call it others. This is actually 1. Total is 1, right? Total is 1. So others could be 1 minus sum of all this. Okay, sum of let me call it as 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. So sum of 1 to 6. No, 5. Okay. So this is the other item. Okay. Now we can call it this is column number 1, column number 2, column number 3 could be call it as price level for each category. Price level for each category. Okay. And suppose we are in 2020, and this is 2021. So this column is divided into 2 years. So let's say that the weight, this is the relative importance of goods. This is the relative importance. So you see the relative importance of goods. So these weights are the relative importance. And percentage, we are going to measure the percentage change, okay? So here, suppose that in 2020, the price level for food was 220. Then housing could be 300. Then apparel could be 180. Then 280. Then could be, suppose it is 287. So these are all price levels for this category, okay? Category. And suppose others is 185. Let's suppose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Now let's see that the price level increases in 2020. Some increment of price level is in 2021. So suppose we have 225, here 310, here 189, and 285 maybe, 290, 92 suppose, and 190. Now the question is, can you question? Can you build CPI from the above table, from the table? Question A. Question B is, what is inflation rate for 2021? Can you do this for me? Or can you think of doing this? How can you make solution for that? We say that CPI is weighted average. CPI is weighted average. Okay. So from without looking at this theory. This theory is not, I mean, suitable enough for this solution of the question. We just simplify this. This is theory. You don't have to memorize this theory. This is just a theory. We have to say that CPI is the weighted average. And how can we make weighted average? We say that our weighted average is, suppose if A, B, C are our three elements, and W1, WA, WB, and WC are weights. Okay, so the weighted average is AWA plus BWB plus CWC. This is the weighted average. Okay, so if these are the weights,
By W1 plus WA plus WB plus WC.
and this is, if these are the element, then AWA, BWB, and CWC. These, if you multiply the weights, then you get the weighted average. So as we know that CPI is the weighted average, and these are the weights. So this is W1 actually. So we can say that CPI 2020 could be measured by this times that. You can make a column for that. Maybe AIWI. You can make a column like this. All right. And then second column would be AJWJ. Okay. So you multiply this and that, you get a figure. You multiply this and that, you get a figure here. Okay. This is not J actually, this is I, but this is J. No problem. I think you understood this. So you multiply this and that, you get a figure here. And if you add all this figure, you get CPI 2020. Okay, CPI 2020. Understood how we construct CPI 2020? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now you can also, in the same way, you can also build CPI 2021. Okay. So CPI 2021 could be, suppose it is, I'm not going to calculate this, but if you calculate, you may find some value, but let us say that CPI 2020 is 340.5. Suppose, not exactly you can find this, but suppose this one is CPI 2020 is this. And suppose CPI, that means this figure. And suppose CPI 2021 is 348.95. Okay. So this is our answer to the question number 1, A. Okay. What could be the answer to the question number B? Can you tell me from your last class, from your previous class? Now tell me how can we answer CPI? I mean question number B.
CPI 2021 minus CPI 2022 divided by CPI 2022 into 100.
100. Thank you. Thank you. This is the answer. So this answer could be for B. You can answer like this: CPI 21 minus CPI 2020 divided by CPI 20 times 100. This could be the answer for. Now, if I say that this is the weight on one scale. Now, can you tell me if I give you in 100 scale, what could be the situation? If I give weight in 100 scale, what could be the situation? Suppose in the exam, I have given this table for you, okay? But instead of weight in one scale, I said that it is 100 scale. How can we build this weight? Can you tell me? Which could be, what is for food? What is the weight for food?
17.5.
17.5%. Okay, 17.5%. Okay. What could be the weight for medical? 0.049.
$4.9.
4.9. Thank you. 4.9%. Now, if I give this type of table for you, what is your, weighted average? Do you multiply 17.5?
We divide the
by
weight
100.
by 100.
Yeah, so you have to convert this. This is your, trap. So you have to convert this into that, and then you should multiply. Okay, otherwise not. Why this should be the case? For what reason we say that we should convert percentage into decimal format? What is the reason for that? Anyway, tell me what is the reason for that? Converting the percentage into decimal weight.
Sir, because relative weight average.
No. The answer is because we know that in weighted average, sum of weight is equal to what? 1. Sum of weight equal to 1, not 100. Okay. So that's why when you are taking weighted average, you must convert weight into 100. And from 100, from percent to one scale, point scale. Okay, understood clearly?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Let's move to the second, not second chapter, last point of chapter number 1. And this last point is 5.6. And 5.6 is inflation unemployment trade-off. What do you mean by trade-off? Inflation unemployment trade-off. What is trade-off?
Sacrificing something to gain other.
Okay, trade-off means if you are gaining something, you are going to lose other things. So if you are, our objective was to reduce unemployment. You should be down. You should be down. This was our second objective. Okay. Our third objective is related to inflation. That means price stability. Okay. So we want price should be stable, not downward. Should be this is called stability sign. It is not going like this. It should be not going. It should not be going like this. It should be going like this. Okay, like this. So this is stability in price. So this headline says that there is a trade-off between inflation and unemployment. That means if you want to reduce unemployment, you must tolerate some inflation. Tolerate. For reducing unemployment, you must tolerate some inflation. Okay, and the trade-off is captured by Phillips curve. And Phillips curve says that means Arthur Phillips, an economist in 1958, wrote a paper on this inflation unemployment trade-off. He saw that there is he collected data on wage inflation. Percentage change in wage. That means DW by W. This is percentage change in wage. And he collected data on unemployment. That means percentage change in what is the unemployment rate? Unemployment rate is U divided by LF, right? So unemployment UR is unemployment rate. So percentage change in unemployment rate is something like that. Okay, so unemployment rate, there is a percentage change in unemployment. So unemployment rate could be changed in this way. So percentage change in unemployment rate. So two types of data he collected for England, 1 and 2. And he saw that there is a relationship between these two data like this. So there is a negative relationship. If this increase, unemployment rate go down. Okay. So if in order to reduce unemployment, that means this rate is wage inflation. This is called wage inflation. Wage inflation. Okay. Wage inflation is change in wages. Okay. And this is change in unemployment rate. So if you are going to reduce unemployment, because there is a negative relationship, so if it is a change in W divided by W, and if it is change in unemployment rate, so moving from here to there, that means if you are going to reduce unemployment, that means reduce unemployment. What is the other name of unemployment reduction? The other name of unemployment reduction is employment increase. So moving from here to there is employment increase, but unemployment reduction. Okay. So this is the policy number 2. Policy, objective 2. Policy objective. Objective number 2. What was the objective number 1? Can you remind me?
growth.
Growth. I mean, growth should be higher or increase. Okay. And our objective number 3 is price stability. So this axis is objective number 3, and this axis is objective number 2. Okay. So our policy is, if our policy is move in this direction, we should have tolerate some inflation. So suppose our unemployment rate is this. So if we want to reduce our unemployment, we must tolerate some inflation here, like this. So this type of inflation could be there in order to gain. This relationship is called Phillips curve, and this is actually, if we consider this wage inflation as price inflation. Price inflation is change in price divided by price. Okay, so this inflation is quite similar to that inflation. Why? Why this wage inflation is similar to price inflation? Because our wage is going to buy goods and services, okay? And this is used for buying goods and services. And when we are going to buy this in goods and services, and price inflation is measured by CPI, and CPI is the weighted average of price of goods and services. And we are using wage and salary to buy goods and services. So we can say that this wage inflation is the proxy for price inflation. Wage inflation is the proxy for price inflation. So we can say that this is also connected. So del P and del Q is also connected to this. So there is a relationship between unemployment rate and wage inflation, as well as price inflation. Okay. All right. So this curve, downward sloping curve, is called Phillips curve, PC, Phillips curve. So when this curve is, invented by Arthur Phillips in 1958, there was subsequent research was flooded. So his research was on England. Many economists around the world try to justify this curve or this relationship within their country. Okay, so suppose an economist from USA try to justify the Phillips curve relationship. So he take the data of wage inflation and data of unemployment rate and try to connect them. So in this way, he justified that Phillips curve is justified in USA, as well as in Germany, France, South Asian countries, or something like that. So, so all over countries, there are studies all over the world, and the study found that this relationship is occurring, but in the short run. Phillips curve is justified. Okay, justified. So this curve can be called as short run Phillips curve, SRPC. Okay, short run Phillips curve. At the same time, many economists try to justify that it is also possible in the long run. Okay, so is it possible in the long run? So there are many study on many countries for long run behavior. Okay, so is it justified in the long run? Economists, I mean, majority of the economists say that no, not justified in the long run. And one of the economists found in the USA that the relationship between, in the long run, the relationship is like this. Okay, so this is long run Phillips curve. So do you see the inflation unemployment trade-off here? Is there any trade-off?
Yes, sir.
Sometimes it is yes, sometimes not, because because trade-off means sacrifice. So if your curve is like this, it is not actually sacrifice, gaining both. Okay, all right. So if your unemployment is high, then there is high inflation. You see, if you look at this graph, you see that sometimes it is short-run Phillips curve is there. Look at this here. Here it is from here to there, Phillips curve is justified. From here to there, let me use the separate color. From here to there, Phillips curve is justified. From here to there, Phillips curve is justified. From here to there, Phillips curve is justified. Here to there, Phillips curve is almost justified. But there are other regions where Phillips curve is not justified. So red marks are short run SRPC. So these are all SRPC justified. If we say that this is our time, and this is our, del P, del P upon P, and time, as well as if we say that unemployment rate, percentage change in unemployment rate. So for the time, if suppose this is year 1990, this is year 1992, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So you see that 95 to 96, there is this PC short-run Phillips curve occurs. Suppose it is 2000 to maybe 2000. Suppose this is 2001 and this is 2000. So in between them, there is a short-run Phillips curve. Maybe here short-run Phillips curve. Other places, no short-run Phillips curve. Maybe here short-run Phillips curve. So Phillips curve is not justified in the long run. Okay. Phillips curve is not justified in the long run. Now a question arises: why? Why it is not justified? To answer the question, to answer why, we need to use special kind of inflation definition, and this special inflation is called NAIRU, non-accelerated inflation rate of unemployment. Non-accelerated inflation rate of unemployment. NAIRU. Okay. What is Nehru? Nehru is something like, I mean, whatever may be the inflation for some, I mean, if you are going to reduce inflation in this direction, in the short run, there are some inflation is there. Inflation is unevitable. Inflation is constantly unevitable. Constantly unevitable. Why? Because there is an inflation rate called natural rate of inflation. Natural rate of inflation. Natural rate of inflation is something like inflation because of structural and frictional. Structural and frictional unemployment is always there. Always there. So no country in this world, no country can claim 0% unemployment rate. Okay. From 0 to 5% natural rate of unemployment must be there. Whatever may be the country, maybe USA, maybe England, maybe Japan, unemployment rate is there naturally. And this unemployment rate is must because of structural and frictional unemployment. Natural rate of unemployment is there. And this natural rate of unemployment makes some constant behavior in inflation movement. So that's why it is called non-accelerated. That means making some fixed unemployment rate because of some natural rate of unemployment. So this is special rate of unemployment, which was missing in the previous, data. And because of the missing in the previous data, the behavior of long run Phillips curve, LRPC, behaves like this. So if we justify, if we agree that Nehru should be added in our analysis, we can find long run Phillips curve. This will end our chapter number 5. Long run, how can we build long run Phillips curve? So suppose our short run Phillips curve is this, SRPC, okay? And we are here. Full employment, FE. Full employment means all factors of production are employed. Okay. Now, and full employment is the characteristic of long run. But in the short run, unemployment disturbed. Unemployment disturbed. And suppose in the short run, government tries to reduce, or some reasons, we are going to create more employment. Okay. That means suppose economy is in boom, or economy in revival, so employment creates. So if employment creates, that means we are moving from here to there. Okay. So in order to move from here, I mean, in this direction, so we should move in this direction. Suppose here our employment is there. That means we are tolerating some inflation. So this much inflation is there. So this is percentage change in price. Okay. Now what happens because of Nehru? Actually this unemployment has some constant inflation. So actually short run the economy moves in this way, but in the long run economy again moves in this way. And SRPC1, so economy move from here to there in the short run and then moves back to full employment. Okay. It is not actually full employment. It is actually natural employment, NE. Now again, suppose government tries to increase employment. So SRPC2. So again, employment creation is the policy goal. So suppose it is there. Economy is moving in this direction and tolerates again some inflation. So here this much inflation is in the second period. So again, because of Nehru, that means constant inflation is there. So inflation remains constant here, and again the unemployment again creates and move from here to there. So economy moves in this way. Again SRPC, SRPC2, SRPC3, economy is moving here. So we have got 3 points, and subsequently for SRPC4 and 5, we are getting some points, and if we are adding all the points, we can get a vertical Phillips curve, and this vertical Phillips curve is called long run Phillips curve. Okay, long run Phillips curve. So this is now consistently showing the relationship between unemployment and inflation. So long run Phillips curve is, what is the shape of the long run Phillips curve? Vertical. And what is the shape of SRPC? What is the shape of SRPC? Response please. What is the shape of SRPC? Shape of SRPC?
Convex.
Downward sloping. Downward sloping. Okay, slope of SRPC is downward sloping. So this ends our chapter number 5. We are going to start chapter number 6. We'll discuss one point on chapter number 6. Those who are in chapter number 6, can you see your Google Classroom and tell me what is the name of the chapter number 6?
Income and spending.
Income and spending. Income and spending. And what is 6.1. I'm going to discuss 6.1 and then finish the class. Okay, 6.1. Just
Circular flow of macroeconomic activity.
circular flow of macroeconomic activity. Circular flow of macroeconomic activity.
Sir, can we start this from next class?
No. Just one. I mean, point 6.1, 1 and 2. Okay, just beginning of this chapter. Okay, it is not that much big. Just be with me. We need to finish our course fast. Okay. All right. What is circular flow actually?
When the flow starts from a point and then ends at the same point.
Answer at the same point. Thank you.
Yeah, it's like a cycle. Yeah.
Like a cycle. Okay. Starts in a place and ends in another in the same place. Okay. So if we have a point here, if we move in this way, second point, and then we go back to the first place in this way. This is called circular flow. Okay. So how can we imagine circular flow in the macroeconomic activity? So we have, let me start with a single person. You could have heard the name Robinson Crusoe. Have you heard the name Robinson Crusoe?
Yes, sir.
And what he did, he was a voyager, okay, and he
Island.
to a land, piece of land, where he was alone, okay. RC was alone in this land, okay. So in this land, what he produced, he consumed, okay. What he produced, he consumed. No other person in this land. So production, he is himself producer, he is himself consumer. Okay. So this may be called, although one sector economy is not there, but this economy may be called one sector economy. So one sector economy is producer as well as consumer are the same person. No other person is there. Okay. Now this is actually not realistic. Actually, there are, I mean, economy starts with two sector economy. Can you imagine what could be the two sector? Two sector could be, one sector could be business, and other sector could be what? Household. All right. So let us take here business and household. So we can build a circular flow with this two sector. So starts with two sector economy. And let us call it as household here and business there. And there is a flow of resources from household to business. Can you imagine what could be the flow of resources from here to there?
Land and goods.
Let me write down, I mean, let me draw the flow. This is a flow. So flow, one flow is from household to business. So if I can make a arrow mark here, So this flow should be reverted from business to household. So arrow is reverted. So one arrow. In one arrow, resources are maybe financial resources or real resources are coming from household to business and business to household. And this is called, I mean, from household to business, you can call, from business to household, you can call it as goods and services. Goods and services. So business produce goods and services and send these goods and services to the household. What could be the reverse arrow for that? If business give goods and services to household, what could be the reverse? In exchange, what could be the reverse flow?
Price or cost.
Hmm?
Price.
Price of, thank you. Price of goods and services. So this is one flow. Okay. There could be another flow like this. This one coming from this to this arrow, and another is coming from this to that. Okay, let me tell you one arrow. What is going from household to business is productive resources or factors of production: land, labor, capital, and organization. So these are factors of production. This is coming from household to business. How? Because land is owned by household, labor is supplied by household. I mean, household supply labor, as well as household also supply capital and form organization. So these resources are flowing from household to business. Okay. Now it is your part. Tell me, what is the reverse flow from business to household?
The prices like rent,
Prices of land
like
is
rent,
rent. Prices
wage or
of
salary.
labor is wage. Prices of capital is interest, and price of organization is profit. Pi. Okay. So these are together called compensation. Compensation of factor services. Compensation of factor services. Factors of production. Compensation to factors of production. Okay. Compensation to factors of production. So this is a very simple circular flow of resources, circular flow of macroeconomic activity. Okay, circular flow of macroeconomic activity. Two sector. In two sector model. Now, three sector model is in one sector is in when one sector is included, that becomes three sector model. Can you imagine what could be the third sector?
Government.
Government. Thank you. Who said that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So government could be the third sector. Okay. So if I say that here government is the third sector, how can you make flow? Or let me call government here. after after sketching the third sector, we will finish the class for today. Let me place government here, because government is the center, right? Government here. How can the flow with government?
I think
Through central bank
tax
or
and service.
Tax. So from household, there is a direct tax. So income related tax is always direct tax. So household send direct tax as income tax. Income tax, IT. Income tax from household. Household income tax. So coming from household to government, okay? All right. Business send indirect tax to, this is indirect tax to government. Okay. What are the indirect tax? Non-income tax are all indirect tax. Indirect tax could be VAT. It could be fees, all types of fees. It could be license fee or something like that. It could be excise, customs duties. Okay, all are indirect tax. And the direct tax on business income. Business income tax, BIT, could be coming from business to government. Okay, business to government. Now, how can we close the flow? That means circular flow should be from one sector to other, right? This should be returned to this. How can, when we add government sector, how can this could be returned? This will be our last topic. How can we return the flow?
Safety.
Giving services.
So we see that households send our flow should be in this way. Households send indirect income tax to government. Business send direct tax to government and indirect tax to government. There should some reverse thing should be there from here to there. Not directly to household, it is indirectly to household. If we say that this is our flow, then through other flow, it is also coming to the household. Okay, so directly, government is directly flowing resources from business to, from government sector to business, and this flow is called G. What is G? G is government spending. Government spending. In our chapter number 5, we classified government spending. Can you recall? One, government expenditure.
Medical, defense.
First
Subsidy.
is defense. Second is education. Third is medical. Fourth are roads and highway. Okay. So these are a list of government expenditure. So these are coming to household through business, not directly to business. We cannot say that this is coming in this way. No. directly to business and indirectly to household. When business has done this, it comes automatically, it comes to household. So this is with red mark, we complete our 3-sector circular flow. And with white mark, we finished our 2-sector circular flow. And the Robinson Crusoe is irrelevant in the world. And this is actually not a circular. This is actually one person is circular flow cannot be there. It is coming from here to there to there. Okay. It is not actually the real thing. So Robinson Crusoe economy is unrealistic economy. It is not possible. There's no exchange. So we start from 2-sector model, and 2-sector model is household and business, and we show how flows of resources are coming from household to business and business to household. And then we created a 3rd sector called government sector, and then we show that how resources are flowing from government to business and directly, and government to household indirectly, and household to government and business to government directly and indirectly. Okay, so this ends our class for today. We are going to start our next class with 6.1.2, that means 4-sector economy. And can you tell me what could be the 4th sector?
Sir, next class, sir. Brainstorm করে আসবো, sir. So next class brainstorm করে এসে বলবো, sir.
No,
আজকে একটু
just
আজকে ছুটি দিন, sir.
answer to one question. What could be the 4th sector? Fourth sector is the external sector. And what is external sector? External sector is related to export and import. NX is equal to export plus import. Okay. So this is our 4th sector is external sector, that means open economy, not closed economy. Sector 1, sector 2, and sector 3 is closed economy. Sector 1 is unrealistic economy, and sector 4 is open economy. Okay. All right. So have you done your percentage in chat box?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So this is end our class for today. You can now leave one by one. And if you have any question, or if you have any queries, or if you have any suggestions, comments and suggestions, then you can ask me. Otherwise, you may leave now, but those who are interested to ask any question about the course, about the exam process, or about the term test you have done, how I evaluated this term test, you may ask questions.